I don't know why I woke up with this. I just thought of John Travolta this morning. I know a lot of Gen Z will not know who John Travolta would be. I don't know, I just used to dance that.
No, it was, J-Ho was like 2 decades after John Travolta. John Travolta is Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, but
Staying Alive.
when I saw that, I thought
And our guest just walked in.
Our guest just walked in?
Yeah.
Thank God, because it's so awkward.
It's not, what is awkward?
I don't know the songs.
Then you need to learn them. Even Corey is learning the classics. I'm exposing her to Backstreet Boys, Destiny's Child. What's your problem?
My poor Corey.
Anyway, would you look at that? Another week is gone, and we're almost done with the first month of 2025. Salary week is upon us.
Johnny, what did you take this morning?
I took nothing.
But the joy of life.
Yes, life is good. If you have not learned anything so far, honestly, I'll tell you this. Time is waiting for nobody. So you better know that. So if you got something you want to try, just go ahead and do it. Say it, feel it, just live your life, because that is worse than failing. That is worse than failing. What is worse than failing is never trying at all.
Even though she's wearing the glasses.
No, I could see, but that was confusing.
But guys, very quickly, has this January not sped by?
Oh, he did speed by.
This is the January's January of all the Januaries.
This is a running January.
It didn't. You continue to just want to be exception to it. I don't understand.
She spent a lot of money moving into a new house, so the life is not lifing. Anyway, welcome to Jasiri.
Let's take a break.
Where we take, wait now. Where we keep things as real as it should be. Allow me, undiluted.
We don't have time.
Brutal, daring.
I think you people are just interrupting.
But I want you to do this when we're introducing the guest. So let's take a break.
Okay, I will take a break now. Not because she instructed, but just because I'm hot like that. I'll be right back. What is... So, welcome to Jasiri, where we keep things as real as it should be. Undiluted, brutal, and daring. Today's, thank God it's Friday. And you know what that means? It's Hot Topic Special. Oh my God, I'm so excited. We've got an amazing guest who's ready to kick it with the ladies. So, ladies, are you ready? Because I brought you a man. Yes, so roll the Hot Montage Special.
All right, so our guest this morning on Hot Topics Special on a Friday is Chiwete Onyema, aka Voice of the City. We welcome you to Jasiri, Chiwete. He's funny, he's smooth, and nothing wrong with saying he's handsome as well. It is. Right. Don't we say we never did anything
Take that
for
again.
you? Welcome.
Did something happen with you and Lolo?
No, I don't understand. No.
I'm not sure what's going on.
There's a breeze that is blowing.
Valentine is coming.
Okay, where's your boyfriend?
We have a guest, ladies.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome, the guest.
We welcome you already. Welcome to this team.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome. We're usually more put together than this. We're so sorry.
You know, it's Friday, so it's allowed. It's allowed. It's a Friday attitude,
Yes,
so it's
I wanted to
works.
do what Catherine would have done on a good day.
Which is?
But ask a question.
Okay.
Yes, I usually would. She would ask the question, but
Okay, sir.
I am given the task of asking you this very important
Very question now.
What's the question?
Please take your time in
Are
responding.
you really in these times? Is T-Pain paining you?
It's of course, it's touching everybody. Like they would say, the Sakba is global now. So it's not been easy actually, because you want to plan for something with what's happening right now. The next day, things have changed. And then the next day, it has changed again. So it's a case of, how do I even go about, how do I have like a long-term plan? So that's the problem. But then we keep it going. We're Nigerians, so We have to adapt, that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
We'll do
That's
it.
not the problem. We're Nigerians. We
Adapt us.
Like Transformers.
That's what we have become.
All right, let's get into our first story. Now that the formalities are over, we have a lot of stories to get to. Fingers crossed. Go on.
I like your dress. It's so bright and beautiful.
All things
I'm very
bright
cut
and
in the middle.
beautiful.
I just wanted to put that out there.
All creatures great.
This week, students of the... I understand what they're saying. It's all right. I'll inform you guys later. This week, students of the University College Hospital, UCH Ibadan, staged a protest over the fact that they have been in blackout for 82 days.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. 82 days. The medical students staged this peaceful protest over the prolonged blackout at the tertiary institution led by their SU president Bolaji Aweda, who said that the protest followed the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum to the management of both the University of Ibadan and the University College Hospital. Now, he also claimed that, in fact, there was a power play among the university stakeholders while highlighting the negative impact of the blackout on students, their living conditions, academics, and overall functioning. He said, and I quote, "If UCH, the foremost healthcare hospital in Nigeria, is this bad, one can imagine what other health institutions in the country will look like." That's the end of his quote. The students demanded immediate restoration of power, implementation of a 50% electricity tariff discount that was announced in 2024, and reforms in Nigeria's health sector. The University of Ibadan branch of the Education Rights Campaign has also commended the student union decision and has called on Governor Seyi Makinde to intervene, citing the severe consequences of the blackout on students, workers, and patients, and has linked the crisis to long-standing neglect of student welfare by university administrations. UCH, 82-day blackout. Chiwete, we start with you because I know the ladies, Lolo is already on gear 2 here beside me before she ramps up.
I'm surprised that for what they have, this kind of institution, they don't power their own, or they don't have their own power separately. I'm sorry, what are you doing? You're still banking on them now, honestly. I'm surprised, to be honest, with what they have so far, with what they're doing. We're talking about a university teaching hospital. This was sort of, it's still one of the foremost in Nigeria. There was a time back in the day, kings from Saudi Arabia would come and get treatment here.
I think you need to repeat that for the people at the back, because a lot of people don't know that.
No, back in the days, kings from Saudi Arabia used to come to get treatment from UCH back in the day. So it just tells you how bad we've become. But I also expected that by now they should have had their own. That's what's happening now. Generate your own power and do you, basically. I'm surprised that's happening. It's because I think how long do you want to keep depending on government for this? Really?
So I think what is biggest for me is, and I applaud the students for speaking out, is the fact that this is affecting the hospital's normal operations. And I'm looking at headlines from November 2024. UCH promises stable power supply, apologizes for blackout. Power outage sparks fear, concerns in UCH. November 2024. UCH working to resolve power outages. CMD. November 2024. We're ending January. And this is still, and I'm trying to think to myself, we had Dr. Benjamin Olowojebutu here during the week, and he talked about when we look at when NAFDAC seizes all these things and they destroy and they put an economic value to it, we need to put a life value to it. We need to put a life value to 82 days of blackout at a hospital. How many people have possibly died because of this?
I'm wondering, for 82 days. That's a long time. At such a foremost teaching hospital. When they say teaching hospital, people think it's just a hospital. It's a hospital where residents learn. So it's like a facility for education. And now they have been on blackout for 82 days. I want to know what the management of the school would say the cause of this is. Is it that they did not pay NEPA bills? Or they couldn't afford to pay? Or maybe the tariff hike? Because we need to know what the problem is. That could have lingered on for 82 days.
82 days.
No alternative power. Now every hospital has solar.
No, they don't.
Inverters.
No, they don't.
Some hospitals do.
A lot of private, not a lot of public, Lolo. So let me answer. So according to a statement on the Facebook page of UCH, they said that they confirmed that IBEDC intentionally disconnected the power supply on the 26th of October over an outstanding debt of approximately 400 million naira, part of a staggering 3.1 billion naira accumulated bill since 2019.
You know, I was going to get you ultimately. I was going to say that there will be, this is an overflow. It's a ripple effect that has overflown, and UCH is facing the brunt of it. It is a government thing. You mentioned correctly and said, why are they still depending on government? Power your own thing. Do you. Basically, we're living in a country now where everybody's their own mini government because you've accepted it and because you want things to work. Now, 82 days is 2.5 months.
Yes.
Literally, it's 2.5 months.
And there was a 16-day blackout in March 2024.
So let's say 3 months, back and forth, give and take is 3 months. Now, in 3 months, the students are saying, we can't take this anymore. The lecturers are saying, so you know that the hopelessness that workers feel. It's like ASU. This just reminded me about ASU. That hopelessness, they feel that, oh, what can we do? Even if they get generators to power, how long can they do it? How can you sustain with how fuel is? So it boils down to this ripple effect from government. You are owing 400 million. So in other words, paying power bills or bills for electricity for the UCH is not as prioritizing as it's supposed to be for the government of Oyo State.
And the government of Nigeria.
I'm not even surprised because I knew that it was always going to boil back down to the funding. And it baffles me because this is not a new hospital. It has been running for the longest time. Yes. And you are still having issues like this, putting the lives of many people at risk, and then having students, you know, having to cry out. It's just really disturbing, like you said, that these sectors are not as prioritized. I knew that it was going to boil back down to funding. I think having their own is like holding, I don't know, maybe it doesn't give them as much control or as much dependence, you know, getting more money, as much money as they would want to get. So at the end of the day, it's now still for selfish reasons, because I don't see why you shouldn't be a standalone hospital or institution for as long as you have existed. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
And we're looking at this hospital. How about the students? No power. And they have to go to lectures, they have to do print handouts, they have to use their computers, the library. So that means education is now old school. Because they want to power their phones. How are they expected to be able to be wholesome in their minds?
Do you know, I won't be surprised if some pockets of the institution have
generators.
That have generators.
You can imagine
done
that.
The wiring.
And maybe it's the students pay for it.
I think it's also a reflection of what has been happening with our power for so many years. Now, how did that happen? 400 million, they're about 400 million, right? So it tells you that, so you can't tell me there hasn't been budget for, you know, for power bills all these years. What has happened? Somebody has gone to meet somebody to say, in quotes, just take this and just look away. Take this, just look away. And it keeps accumulating. That's what's been happening with this estimated bill for a long time till, you know, the prepaid meter came to save the day. So it just tells you this was happening. In Aso Rock too, we had something similar.
What happened in Aso Rock was either this week or last week was that vandals stole the cables or vandalized the cables that feed the substation, that feeds Aso. Like, do we hear ourselves? Do we hear what we're saying?
And there's also that talk about, you know, the bills being owed and all that. So there are a lot of things like this happening where people should have paid their bills.
Yes.
They didn't. There was budget allocated for that. It did not happen.
They said their bill was 50 to 60 million naira monthly. UCH is a massive place. And so even if you say you can't get all of the institution on solar, you would have been doing piecemeal.
Yes.
By the time you're doing administration 1 year, you're doing the testing lab 1 year. By now, I'd expect maybe half of the administration or half of the complex is on solar. You're able to generate and feed others. But patients have had to strike, lecturers have had to strike, students have had to strike. When was the last time you went to a hospital?
Okay, so thank God for that, honestly, because if I had to go to a hospital, only goes would have happened to me by now. But it's been a long time, actually.
Let us all thank God, because I want to add to it. So, you know, we've spoken about it before, but it was in 2024 March, the former minister for Health and Social Welfare said we had lost about 15 to 16,000 doctors to Japa, and that there were about 17,000 that had transferred, and there are 55,000 teachers left. I said teachers. 55,000 doctors left in Nigeria for a population of over 200 million. Now, the main doctor-to-patient ratio is supposed to be 1 to 600. Please ask me how much it is in Nigeria.
How much is it?
1 to 9,083.
One
doctor to 9,083.
It's negligible.
Then I'm now hearing this morning, I was watching the scroll bar on News Central that consultants are down to about 5,000 for the entire country. You know, don't fall sick.
Are you going
until something becomes, no, that's the thing.
If
there's somebody who tell you, may Nigeria not happen to you? Because if you have to trust our healthcare, it's been something I've seen that they would even get bribes. People that are going through chemo, they want to get radiation treatment, they want to do x-rays, they would bribe, they would literally pay for them
get to the
power
top of the list,
for them to get what should be routine tests done. And you're wondering that when would the decadence in this country end? A lot of all the doctors that are even left, many of them are private practice. Because if public hospitals are not serving them, they have to cater for their families somehow.
No, this is just medical. We have not gone to educational sector. This is the teachers now.
But it is riskier
suffering.
because this is a life and death situation, and you blame people who self-medicate. Most times, it's not about ignorance or poverty. You are more likely to stay alive without going to the hospital than when you go to the hospital. Because even if you come out, sometimes you don't come out the same. Look at the issue of misdiagnosis. So it's just really crazy.
And I'm thinking about the doctors who see this. Why won't they japa? We've talked about having doctors who have to pay for medication for patients, who have to pay for gauze and whatever it may be. They use their money out of their own pocket. They've spoken about the mental burden of watching all of this. And I'm just thinking of a doctor who's at UCH now after 82 days of medical blackout, who's looking at a patient that they literally cannot do anything for. They might want to tell the patient, let me refer you to maybe Unilag or whatever. Even that is questionable because by the time you get here, the waiting list here is also a problem. You can't even refer. Some people can't be moved.
And there's so many.
Some people cannot travel to do it. And you're going to have doctors who have patients dying in front of them, and you know what, who said, I'm not doing this with Nigeria anymore. I didn't pick up this stethoscope or whatever to watch people die in front of me when they shouldn't have to.
I think even the attitude of government doesn't even bring any form of hope. Because I remember when Ngige was Minister of Labour, he said it's because we have enough, that's why we are exporting doctors.
Stop quoting the obvious.
That's what he said. You have enough, that's why. So we have enough to go around. So we have enough, that's why they can go out. And also, I mean, as at during the pandemic, I think the hazardous allowance was 5,000 naira.
And they still had to fight to get it.
So what is 5,000 naira?
Was it last year or 2 years ago? Was it the president that was telling other countries not to take people that are? Is that a solution?
It was.
I'm like, so the next thing you want to do now is ban them from accepting.
And now we now have to resort to the fact that students that are supposed to be in tertiary institutions for education are the ones striking, trying to get them to do the right thing, do right by them, do right by the hospital, do right by the school generally. When I look at the hospital, I am so afraid for what can be happening in UCH. Imagine, how do they keep the place clean?
How do they
they run tests?
They probably, it will
do you know there's some things that are airborne that at least the fan is rolling and it's warding off mosquitoes and things.
They'll probably take it somewhere else and do the test and come back. He started the show by saying, that's our guest time. He started the show by saying that we adapt very easily. We are very good at adapting. In fact, we have become the adapter. If they package us like this and sell, So I think we have adapted to the point that even if there's no light there and they need to run tests, like you say, we'll pivot. You will collect your samples.
Have you heard of hospitals that do
you just pay the extra
with candles, with lanterns, with torch lights?
My last visit to UCH, my sister was there before she passed, and I remember one of my parents having to use the bathroom. You have multiple floors. One, elevator was not working. Two, some of the bathrooms were locked. There was no running water in the building we were in a hospital. How does that make sense? We've gone too far down the abyss. Let's listen to what those students were saying, then we'll move on to our next story. It wasn't a trending story, but I think this has to have been a trending story this week. 82-day blackout at UCH is not something we should be allowing. Let's listen to what the students said. There's no audio there, unfortunately, but we hope that somebody will listen to the cry of the students and the patients. It happened in March, 16 days. Now it has been happening since October. 82 days now of a blackout in UCH. It's not a situation that we should continue to allow in any way. Let's move on to our next story.
Okay, so our next story takes us on the reignited debate about the National Youth Service Corps. Now, Osi Sauve, who was here for Hot Topic Special, recently took a jab at NYSC program. And here's what he posted on X. He said, the NYSC has outlived its usefulness. It should be made voluntary or scrapped in totality. Give each graduate 840K as grant after they leave university and call it a day, I beg. This remark sparked quite a lot of reactions from Nigerians. Let's take a few of them before we talk. Let's have it. Okay. This one says, NYSC is perhaps the only national program with overall net positive for national integration. Without it, national cohesion will be poorer, country fracture line will be sharper, English. Most graduate exposure to other regions is due to the scheme. It is overall net positive. True. FG should scrap it and impose a compulsory military service for all adult Nigerians. It will be more beneficial overall than NYSC.
What cohesion are we talking, please? This same Nigeria, what kind of cohesion have we ever had? NYC right now is probably the only way you'll get to experience tribalism firsthand, especially if you're posted outside your region. Ain't no positive in this. Just a way to loot money and underpaid fresh graduates.
What has cohesion done to the country? Nigeria is still the same. The scheme has outlived its importance. We can't keep running from the truth.
So, NYSC, how was it for you?
Okay, so this actually brings memories. A negative one, to be honest.
Where did you serve?
Ogun State. So I remember. Yes, and I remember it was a bad one because I'd gone for. They posted us. You go for your place of primary assignment, drop your letter and all that. So I studied geology, and they were like, okay, you should go to the Ministry of Mines and whatever. So I got there, and they were like, okay, this is where the problem was. The guy should have just kept quiet and just said, we'll wait for supervisor to come tomorrow to select who they're going to accept. And he was like, oh, you're a geologist. Oh, you're perfect because you studied the course goes with the ministry. You're definitely going to be the first person that will be picked. So there were like 5 of us.
So you had expectations.
I had expectations. So he said it. Then the next day we came back. He had some other people questions. So there was a lady, like 2 of them. Their courses were not really, but mine was like the top. The next day, the supervisor comes in and says the same thing the guy said the day before. And says, oh, you geologists, don't worry, yours is. Then this is where the problem was. Everybody sat down and was like, so where are you from? I told him from Delta State. The guy, where are you from? He mentioned the southwestern states. I was like, oh, where in the southwest, like what village? And I mentioned the village. Said, oh, your king is my friend. So your king is my friend. Then he started speaking the language. And then
you were
just said, no, he just said, you guys can go now. You know, so I walked outside. My dad asked me a question, so how's it going? I was like, I've gotten a place already, you know, just waiting for my acceptance letter. Like, I was already like, okay, it's happening.
Geologist.
And then this guy who's king is a friend to the supervisor. Just comes out and gives up and says, you guys have already rejected, I was accepted.
Wow. Not even like, take 2, only 1.
I'm like, okay. Nice. Like,
wait, they even sent him to come and read.
You know, they sent him. If they didn't say anything about that, I probably have thought, okay, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe something wrong with me. But you categorically said that you would pick based on merit. So why did that happen? For me, I think the concept of NYSC it didn't serve its purpose. Yes, we understand 1973 after Civil War, it was made to ensure that Nigeria is united and all that. But I don't think that's what it is now. Are we really united?
The essence has even been watered down, if you ask me. I served, I camped in Oyo State, and I redeployed back to Lagos. There are thousands of people who redeploy on a yearly basis. Yeah, I know, but I wanted to come back to Lagos. So the redeployment is an option in a lot of Oyo State.
Oh, okay.
And I was even sent there because redeployment didn't work at first. So I'm not sure people are as open because, again, the tribal issues, the issues of uncertainty, so many things, and people already have plans of what they want to do with their lives. lives, right? I think that when you're a graduate, yes, you're maybe not adult enough to know what to do with your life at that point, but you're adult enough to know that you don't want to start going around and exploring places. You want to settle down and find a job. So I don't really think that it still holds water, to be honest. I think yes, it has been one.
I just have a question to ask. I don't know, now in the private sector, before it used to be that it's mandatory when you apply for a job, you're asked to produce your NYSC certificate. Now, I don't know with the private sector.
Actually, it's still supposed to be.
Yeah, but I think some of the companies, private sectors, have waived that. It's not as prerequisite as it used to be before. And I said, I'm leaning towards our guest and blessings on this, because I've always said it, and I've always been vocal about it. I said, NYSC has lost its relevance, it's just a waste of time. And for me, it's just an excuse to keep getting money from government and pumping it, because the students are just going probably to see other places. That was part of the intention. But also, some places in Nigeria are not safe. If they say you send your child, if you're already now graduate and she's sent to Potiskum in Yobe State, won't you say, you speak some Yoruba, whatever, and say, it's not over my dead, my child is coming back, and you do everything to redeploy. Now, redeployment is available because of certain things.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. But now everybody has, you will find a box that you fit, that you can take that pertains to your course, whether it's true or false. So I've always said that, listen, my kids are done with school, they're not going for NYSC. I'm sorry.
I just wonder that, okay. They said it's for national integration.
Yeah.
Social media is doing it for us.
Thank you.
We have exported
social media.
Is it really?
Integrating
Wait till election year, then you know who owns Lagos.
There's somewhere I want to see that I cannot see through my social media.
Okay, so not social integration, but exposure to where you want to go.
To everywhere.
Okay.
I cannot begin to say how many youth coppers have lost their lives in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's either from internal travel issues, kidnapping, accidents, some other funny things that you say takes their lives. And I'm wondering if any parent now, and we have had troubled regions in Nigeria for the past 10 years, which amongst us will allow their child go to a troubled region and not be clamoring for a return of their child. And I found out that the government is not even doing anything special to keep them safe.
Yes, to keep them safe.
In any way. Even with all the crises that are going on in different regions. They just say, go and do this thing, it's a requirement.
So no, I don't know what you served. I served in Bauchi. At that time, it was safe. I was going by road to Jos. It was a new discovery. I love travel. Anyone who knows me knows. I love travel. So for me, it was like, wow, I'm on an adventure. But for now, if a child of mine is sent to Bauchi State,
you'll be there, wow.
I think I don't agree with him when he said that it never worked. I think at a point in time it did work. And I think we have NYSC to, not to blame, but to appreciate for some intertribal marriages at a point in time. People really did learn and expose themselves. But I think that the scheme has lost its relevance. But losing relevance doesn't mean it cannot be revalidated. It cannot be re-awakened. Because I think we need to be let's think about it. This thing guarantees some level of income to students for a year. What they choose to do with it. Yes, now you're supposed to be paid by government, and you're supposed to be paid by where you're posted to. If they do with it sensibly, I looked at what Osi was saying. He said, let's give 840.
Some don't get it.
So they said it's about 350. If I'm using the number from 2023, which is what's available, about 350 graduates every year. If you give 350 graduates, what did he say, 840,000 grand, that's 29 billion. 400 million. That's a lot of money. I don't think you have to give 840, but I think we need to start thinking of NYSC as a skills development scheme.
Yes.
The fact that some communities exist or are able to teach their children or have doctors because of NYSC is a failure in part of whether it's local government, state government, or federal government. You've left communities behind. You're using NYSC to do patch with teachers and education and whatever, and medical, whatever it be. That's not what we should be thinking in 2025, in the 21st century. Let's make it skills-based. We are non-competitive when it comes to the Internet of Things. We're in the fourth industrial revolution. How much cloud computing, how much AI, how much whatever is being taught as a curriculum across board. That's where I would see NYSC being re-envisioned
Exactly.
too.
It doesn't look like.
Baby,
It doesn't look like picture. They always talk about the 50-year journey. We need to think about 50 years ahead. Let's not look 50 years back.
Like you said, if it's not repurposed, if it is the old purpose, it has outlived its existence.
Even this new purpose, Tolu has painted such a beautiful picture. I'm with you on it.
No,
but how do we get in bed with this picture?
It's not entirely difficult. To be honest, I don't even buy the 800K because let's face it, a lot of youths can be reckless, especially when you don't know what you want to do after. It is on you, but at the end of the day, it's still wasting a lot of money. But this upholding, revamping the skills acquisition part of it and not having us sit down in one.
Who won the revamping?
Who
is the one?
What did you say? That's how people start teaching children wrong things. Yeah, snakes. S is for snake. What did you say?
Snack. So this is what he says. Snack.
So it's like you divide them into those who want to do arts, those who want to do it, IT, AI. Just make sure that you're upholding. But to be honest, if you want to, that social integration, I don't think it has even ever worked, because if you want to put social media and NYC side by side, social media has fostered a lot of intertribal marriages just by entering each other's DM. So I don't think you having to travel to your state to meet your husband is such a big deal, because social media now does that every day.
It does. Honestly, they need to repurpose it. But you know how Nigeria is. When a system has been existing for a long time.
See, finish,
no, it's not even just.
It's the money.
The pipe is in different mouths. And you know when a baby is overfed, sometimes they don't even need to go out to grapple on the nipple. They just allow the milk flow. So some people have just become lazy on the choppings. Are you telling me the person that makes the kakis, the person that got the contract for the this, that got the contract for the that, all the things they say they feed them, all they accommodate, there's so much money going out for it.
Yeah, that's
so
what
for
I'm saying.
you to just say you want to take it out,
they will kick against it. Some people are feeding fat on it, and the milk.
And the workforce, at least based on LinkedIn now, for NYC staff is between 200 to 500. Thereabouts. So those are the amount of people that will lose their jobs if it's scrapped, except they now change and find a way. And you mentioned something about, let's look out for other things. The problem is, do we have enough to accommodate people who want to do things? Because you realize that if somebody, for example, studies computer science, where can he fit in based on his discipline?
Make him a computer science teacher.
Exactly, somewhere, and then you dump.
To be drawing a laptop on the board.
Exactly. They end up using the schools as a dumping ground for people who kind of get
I was a teacher.
Primary and secondary school education bad.
NYSC, I was a teacher. I was teaching primary 4, SS1 to SS3 math.
Look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
I couldn't just imagine.
And Sunday I was there.
The only thing that Kathy knows how to count is money when she goes to the market.
There was no crash course, you're just there in front of house of children, and then you're speaking, and then you have to find a way, to make it work, because you're far away from home, you're in the north, and there's nothing you have to make it work. And so this is a story I hope will evolve, but I know that there will be some pushback. The person feeding fat over the making of the.
No, but he raises a point, and my point now goes to this civil service we have. We're keeping people as civil servants.
Can I say something? I served in Ogun State Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
From geology.
From geology. I said I ended up being there. I did not do anything for one day. All through my NYC period, not one word. Like they kept saying, tomorrow we're going to go to the field.
What field?
It never happened.
People that leave at 2 o'clock are be 12 o'clock sometimes.
It never happened. Even the people, the person that's supposed to take you to the field doesn't even come to work on time. You come to the ministry, a lady is watching
Telenova.
Exactly. By 10 a.m. Now that person is breaking a goosey on the side. So it makes no sense. There's no point.
Listen, it's time to lay to rest. Now I lay me down to rest.
We're going to take a break. See, all of us are getting it today. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have more stories. How many exes do you have?
Not too many.
Are you sure?
2, there.
The way you did your mouth is a lie. When we come back, when we come back, you'll find out why we asked that question. And then we'll get into one of the biggest conversations of the week, the story around the killing of an EFCC officer and the response from Nigerians. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Just Siri. You can join the conversation on our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. So this next story has a lot of angles. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has expressed grief on the loss of one of its officers who was killed during a sting operation to arrest a suspected internet fraudster. The commission has expressed concern over what it described as the irresponsible, callous, and inhuman and outrageous narratives being circulated on social media on the whys and wherefores of the fatal accident. It said, and I quote, "It is heinous to reduce the death of a gallant officer who was carrying out patriotic and official duties to social media razzmatazz," end of quote. So let's take some reactions to the statements from the EFCC before we get into conversations about this.
And I think I can mention it was difficult getting reactions you might want to share on TV because a lot of people went in. Do we have those reactions now?
All right, so in the aftermath of this killing, it was reported that an EFCC officer in Kaduna identified as Polycarp, who was responsible for managing the exhibit room at the EFCC's Kaduna zonal office, allegedly absconded with over $30,000 and other valuable exhibits. This came to light when the zonal director, Benedict Tubi, ordered an audit of the exhibit room. Now, during the audit, Polycarp reportedly excused himself to use the restroom, and there he subsequently disappeared, and all efforts to reach him since then has failed. It's not, this incident is the first, though, as it follows another controversy in Lagos Zonal Command, where 10 EFCC officers were detained for missing operational items, including gold bars worth over £1,140,000.
Wow.
That's quite a lot, Chiwete.
That's a lot.
May I not be in charge of exhibit room?
But I like the fact that it's a build-up. It's not one-off.
It's not.
And and it's different zonal headquarters. Doesn't it show that, wow, we live in very interesting times, Chiwete?
I think law enforcement agencies generally need to first, let's start from that issue of the person that was killed. They need to train them on how to apprehend people, right? If someone is a suspect, the person has not been found guilty, don't treat the person like a criminal. Why? From what we heard, it's like this particular EFCC guy, I think he jumped through the fence. I've been in a place where EFCC actually came into a compound, and the way they came was like FBI was about to surround the drug cartel.
Did they identify themselves?
They just came in first off, shot in the air twice.
Like, do they carry guns? So at first, you're not even sure the EFCC.
The issue, I think how we knew was that, they had this red, normal red jacket. That's what they had.
Anybody can wear it normal.
Exactly. So they just came and shot in the air. So sometimes we need to know how this is done. The other day I was on Latif Jakonde Road. I just saw two men. They said they're police. They wore some kind of jacket. How I could probably just say, okay, maybe they could be. It was because they had this vehicle by the side of the road, Nigerian police. But it wasn't even a regular one that you know.
Yeah.
So you can't even, sometimes when they apprehend people, they literally just jump out from nowhere. You can't separate them from armed robbers.
And that's and I feel like, do they not seem to understand the times we live in? That one, we do not trust them, unfortunately. The majority of all these security agencies, whatever we call them, paramilitary, we already have a trust issue with them. Then you two are now acting like the people who have made us insecure. I remember when I was coming home, I wake up 2 a.m. I'm turning in at Stadium. NDLEA. Please ask me why NDLEA was doing a stop and search. I just turned on my lights and they saw that I was a woman and they let me go. But when I looked at the 3 cars they had stopped, young boys. And I'm thinking to myself, I've never encountered inside Lagos and NDLEA, stop. I've encountered it when I've been going to Bumasha. I've encountered customs when I'm traveling on, but I've never encountered, and I just told my husband, they say, oh yeah, they've been there for like 3 weekends, every weekend, same place, and then we haven't seen them again for 6 months. But besides that, when we go back to this officer's death, I will read some of the, let me read some of the comments, because some of the tweets, because I have them. Our very own Daniel Rega said, EFCC's narrative doesn't add up. It was reported that the officer scaled the fence. If this is true, how then did officers politely demand entrance? Because the EFCC statement said they politely demanded entrance to the suspect's apartment. And considering how the EFCC has broken into apartments in the past to make arrests, it is very questionable. Tech for justice. Fighting corruption with lawlessness will only lead to devastating consequences like this. We will not stand for any agency that violates human rights at will under the guise of fighting corruption. Somebody called Revolutionary Youth said, Dear EFCC, if this man is a doctor and has where he works, and you know his address, both home and office, was an invitation sent to him and he refused to honor it? Did you attempt to arrest him at his place of work and he resisted arrest? Did you go to his house during the day with a warrant and he scaled the fence? Is it the early hours of morning? That's what they said their operation happened. As you put it, in the very first option of arrest, given the security situation of the country, these are genuine questions. Then there's a part of the EFCC's statement that says that he was into coding and something else, remote work or something, and they found various laptops and tablets. And a lot of people are saying, why are you making, coding is something a lot of youth do this day. You're already in your statement making it sound like he's already convicted. You've already made your conviction, you've already made your conclusion on him. EFCC has to talk about their modus operandi. That's the statement. But then let's refer to 2024, was it 2023, when they announced that they were banning night operations. So please, have we unbanned night operations? Did the EFCC ban sting operations at night?
You know, I'm just wondering that this country will make laws. It's either we act as if we're unaware of it, or we conveniently forget, and we just revert back to what used to be. Because people are just used to being a certain way. Especially our security agencies. Sometimes you are in morbid fear of them. I've had experiences where, when I was head of Lasgidi, where they would enter into a presenter's house at night. This guy was not a Yahoo boy, nothing. He said he peed in his pants. And you know, when they do all these things, imagine if somebody just break into your house. The first reaction is to defend yourself.
Exactly.
And if something untoward happens, and you have maybe mortally or fatally caused a grievous harm to someone, they will now go ahead and blame you.
They'll say
they have a modus operandi. There is a better way to do things. You can't just say, even if you know suspects are in that area, even abroad, even if we don't get sense. Do you know that sometimes military people will refuse to shoot into a place? Why? Because civilians are there. People that are probably unarmed. But you know, you just wonder at the haphazard way at which we go about our things. Is it because one individual has not taken up one of them and sued them?
And so,
and there have been many, many wrong things they've caused, grievous harm they've caused to people, just in the name of apprehending someone.
But meanwhile, you saw the picture of EFCC, how they, not even the picture, how they were handling Yahaya Bello. You knew where he was the whole time. Where was the sting operation? Where is the scaling of the fence then? And Nigerians will tell you, it's all these things that will make them feel somehow about the security agencies, that all animals are not equal, or all animals are equal and some are more equal than others.
We all know that, and as long as we all feel that, everybody would always act like that, because you see that they are two-faced. They do this for some, and they don't do this for some.
It's no longer even exciting when we hear about laws, because it's one thing to hear about these laws, another to follow up with the implementation of it. I'm sure this banning of sting operation at night lasted for like maybe 1 week or 2 weeks.
No, it's the same way every new IGP comes in and says, I've dismantled roadblocks.
Yes, and it's back in another 2 weeks.
So I want to quickly take Scales, the rapper, performer, artist. He had a run-in with the EFCC, I think it was October 2023, and he's been tweeting about it. This is one of his tweets. EFCC is a failed agency that needs to be reformed. My family is still traumatized by what they did to me. Let every youth speak out. If not, them go continue. Them say make I no talk, now him make I no yarn since. So apparently there was something having to do with artists he was working with, up and coming. They apparently barged in on him and his family in front of his daughter, in front of his baby's mama. I just want to tell you guys that EFCC are back doing the late night raids again. So buy camera, activate them. They record everything and don't do fraud. And one video always sticks out to me. I don't know if you guys remember the video of the lady, I think she was in a hotel room, that the EFCC busted down the door. And the first thing, the guy that entered just did, he woes this girl. And then they rushed in like 4 or 5 of them.
Like last year.
CCTV, I don't know if you can afford it. CCTV will be the way to show the truth.
But what would they do? What would they even do? If you take the video recording and say, this is what they did to me, what would they do?
People are suing them. They're suing EFCC and winning. At least it's allowing people to challenge the narrative that they're putting out about how arrests were done or how people resisted arrest and this is what happened. At least it allows some level of truth in the conversation.
It was last year. There was also a video of, I think, 3 ladies in their hostel. They were naked at night. And EFCC entered somewhere wearing just bra. One was
they scaled the fence, I remember.
And then they entered. We didn't hear anything about that story till date.
I think we should look at the root cause of these things. One of them should also be that what is the welfare for people who are in law enforcement
Stop
agencies.
it.
I'm getting
Stop
somewhere.
it.
I'm getting somewhere.
I don't want to hear that.
I'm getting somewhere. Welfare training. Because when you see somebody and all you're looking for is to find a way to get this person to your station to be able to extort the person, there's no way this story you're talking about would end. Yeah. There's no way. If all I'm doing, I mean, we've seen people where you ask somebody, okay, you can't really see, you're not so sure, you're probably in a new place you're driving, and you ask the last man guy, like, okay, this place is not one way.
And
they tell you
go the wrong way.
And you get in that they tell you, and they'll show you one side that grass has covered. And you don't see them. So the truth is, these guys are not out to really be sure that the state is safe. They want to get something from people. How do you stop a boy and you see that there's a white girl's picture on his phone? The guy is he's in a relationship with a foreigner. And when you saw the white girl, he started shouting, oh my God. He had to do voice, video call, please tell them, you're my girlfriend. No, so the thing is, these guys are not really out to, they're already angry. I suspect they have a target that they have to, meet and give it to their oga at the top, right? So that's why the way they behave. I don't think anybody is really out there to.
Let me quickly say one thing, because on this thing he said about gas, it's the same example I gave about roadblocks. Because IGP will do something, you'll tell police that this is what IGP said. Police officers on the road will tell you he should come down and come and tell them that he's speaking his own in Abuja. So we have an issue where hierarchy, management, Ogas will speak, but it's a completely different experience Nigerians are having on the roads. Whether it's the roads, whether it's the EFCC, whether it's the police, we need to deal with it. That's straight up insubordination. And if your officers are not listening to you and not doing what you're asking them to do, why should me as a Nigerian, why should I trust you?
And I think that there is also a breach in communication with this. The hierarchy kind of creates a separate world. The reason I'm saying this is, I was in a car one time with one of my senior colleagues, and he was driving and he didn't know it was a one-way, right? And then they caught him, and for like 15 minutes he was trying to beg and plead, and they were just like, no, they can't. And then eventually he called one of his friends. Apparently it was I don't know what the hierarchy is, but like the highest ranking officer in that area. And the guy was like, okay, give him the phone, let me speak to him. And after he spoke with the man, he was like, oh my God, I've been waiting to speak with this man. I can't, I'm like, wait. He's supposed to be the one in charge, supposed to be giving you orders. That means there is a breach in communication. They don't even get the opportunity to talk to them directly. So it's like they're living their own lives. Those ones are giving their own laws. It's not meeting.
I beg, which is it not just remittance they need? And they have full soldiers, and there are hierarchies to these things. So before you even get to the boss, you go don't take for that department, trust me.
So wasn't the reason why you asked?
Shall we do this?
Let him answer, because now we don't have time. How many exes do you have?
Officially 2.
Unofficially?
Let's just stick to official.
Can you count them on your fingers unofficially? Do you need to include your toes?
If you bring unofficial to it now, you're going to
we have to bring back
another department.
Anyway, shall we? A little time.
Oh God! Just ask the question. Everybody has 30 seconds.
They say, well,
don't read that story.
Okay.
Is it okay to date your friend's ex, Catherine?
Well, it depends on, we see, that's friends as acquaintance.
I said 30
what
seconds.
Level of friendship?
Friend, like me, dates my ex.
No, you? No, I can't. You will chase me in your dream, my dreams.
I won't be mad if they date my ex, because it's somebody that will have to date him. So I won't be mad.
Are you serious right now?
Chiwete.
So of all the people in the world, it's my ex you want to. It's not to make sense.
Why is that a big deal?
No, it's unnecessary, except maybe you're in
See how your voice has strong.
No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And I think it's even a guy code. I look at you.
Guys are the ones who break this code the most.
No. It's ask a question. Was he really a girlfriend? Or something else.
So that's the problem. She will probably be thinking she's a girlfriend.
So if the so-called ex was an official girlfriend, you shouldn't do that. I think even if whatever it is, whoever you are, as long as this lady was with this guy at some point,
suppose after some time, after like 9 years,
don't go there. How? Okay, so
no, his voice is strong.
Don't go there.
For me, I think it depends on the closeness of the person. There's some bosom friends that you share something a little stronger than some, Do you know there are circles of friendship?
That's why I said there's acquaintances that's
so the acquaintances it depends on
family. So it's like
but not somebody that you are as close as I am to Tolu. Maybe not that kind. Maybe something far off. So a friend of a friend of a friend.
You see, I think we're talking about
one of a friend is not a friend.
I think we're talking about from women's perspectives. Chiwete says not having it. He says there's not. It's
an unnecessary complication. Like there are a lot of people out there.
No, I'm so sorry. I agree with him. As long as I can say that I called you a friend at one point in time, regardless of the type of friendship, kilo one. What are you looking for? Okay. That is it. What are you looking for? What did you lose? I just want that you cannot find in somebody else. 7-point-something billion people in
I would want to know what you were getting at
you want
that
to know. That's why the person is an ex.
Even if it's after 15 years.
You rammed up my throat.
After 15 years.
It's unnecessary. I think.
I won't do it, but I won't be.
I met him in
Monday.
If it's 15 years, then that means probably you guys were probably younger then. So that's different.
Is it?
Yeah, 15 years ago, that's probably the person like your teenage girlfriend.
No, we're talking about when you're an adult.
Never.
As an adult, you did as an adult.
So I will now have to take permission from guy. Listen, your ex and I.
Who's going to give permission?
You understand?
You're coming with me.
Don't ask. You will say yes, but don't do it.
And the yes is not real. All right, we got to go. Thank you so much, Chiwete Onyema, for joining us. A lot of the conversations, of course, continue. They don't end here. The EFCC conversation, the great debate on NYSC, and so much more. We continue to call attention to the blackouts at UCH. Please, please, whoever is responsible needs to do something. The lives of patients and the future academic careers of students continue to be at risk. We thank all of our guests that we've had this week. Thank you so much for making Jesse a fantastic weekend. We'll do much better for you next week, starting at 10 a.m. on Monday. But other than that, it's bye for now.